Hello, my podcast people, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of my favorite podcast. If you're listening, watching, tuning in on the day that it drops, it is Monday, January 20th, and we're going to jump right into the episode because I'm sitting here in a bit of a state of cognitive dissonance, if you will, just because, 15 miles away from where I live, literally, out that window, there's massive destruction. I'm talking about the LA fires, the Pacific Palisades fire, the Eaton fire. It's burned over 53 or 56 square miles. That's a fucking lot. Right? The Santa Ana winds are supposed to pick up again today, but not as bad as before. And the first responders are just fucking amazing and on it. And so it shouldn't, God willing, cause more terrible stuff, but it's not done. Right? Coming from the East Coast, we have natural disasters, hurricanes, no earthquakes, right? We have hurricanes, and I was there for Sandy, and this is just so different because it just keeps going, right? With a hurricane, one, it's coming, and then it hits, and then it's done at some point, right? This didn't know it was coming. There was a wind alert on Sunday night of last week that said that we were going to have big winds on Tuesday, and then a fire broke out, and before I knew it, Bree is staying here with Lex and me because her place had to get evacuated because the fire was so close. In an instant it happens, and then it just keeps going. It just fucking keeps going. I'm hearing helicopters right now. It's nice outside. It's kind of dusty though. I wouldn't go running outside, but the air quality index, I didn't check it today, but it was good actually. And it's a blue skies and the weather is nice, and it's way different than what it was last week. It was apocalypse, but we could see where the fires were coming from. Jill and I had a legacy call last week, and I at the end of the call I was like, Jill, can you see the fires? And she can actually see things from her place. It's a mind fuck, right? I'm super grateful and super fortunate. Lex and I live in a place, and Jill lives here too, where we've been in the white zone the whole time. The topography, where it is, and we're closer to the kind of into the ocean, if you will, and there's no big mountains that we back up into or anything like that. We've been in the white zone the whole entire time. And because of that, we actually Lex and I ran our live event for Lex Remind last Thursday and Friday. If you were there, thank you. People literally flew in as there's this fires going on. And, we kept it going because it's totally safe where we're at, which is just wild because it's not that far, 15 miles, but it is totally safe where we're at. And as the event is going on, I'm literally we started the event off, thanking them, and I'm we are safe here. And at the end of the first day, it's probably about an hour left of the first day, an alert goes off to all of our phones, and it says prepare to evacuate. And I'm this shit has to be a mistake. It is a mistake, and it was a mistake. They sent out an error, kind of my bad message afterwards, and I was that's really bad. But it really just kind of solidified that feeling of we're sitting here learning and teaching about sales pages while people's houses are burning down. And objectively, it's not wrong to be doing that because what's the alternative, right? I'm not going to be running into that fire. Sitting there and watching the news, which we actually were doing and checking things, it doesn't change that, right? And so this is not an episode about me justifying putting your head down and pretending that things aren't happening. Not at all. Today, I want to talk about who do you help? Who should you help? When do you help? What does it mean? Right? Because I will be the first to champion social media, but our access to information, the fact that we have so much information literally at our fingertips, and the pseudo-connectedness that it creates can also be problematic. Right? Suddenly you're exposed to tragedy and loss, just 24/7. If you could be exposed to it more than 24/7, then we would be. Right? And our nervous systems are not designed for this. Right? We're not designed for that, and we're not designed for the immediate high and low that we get, right? It's happy, sad, tragedy, learn something, celebrate someone, all within the span of 5 swipes of your thumb. And it's that is not what humans have evolved to be able to handle. And from that, the question to me comes are we supposed to care about everything and everyone? What does caring look like? If you don't say something on social, does that mean you don't care? If you don't donate, does that mean that you don't care? And this question has come up a bunch. Anytime there's a big event, and I did an episode I'm trying to remember which one it was, but like, I can't because it comes up a lot. Like, if you're on social media long enough and you do this online business thing long enough, things will happen that directly affect you in a way that you like, I have to say something. And you get to make that decision whether or not you say something. But not saying something doesn't mean you don't care. And also, we can't care equally about all things, especially because of this like pseudo proximity that we have, where now something that happens around the world, we are immediately exposed to and, impacted, or, we see it right there. And faced with the decision of, do I do something? Do I say something? Do I think that it matters? That wasn't a thing however many years ago before social media. Even if we just compare the size of, the United States to the size of Europe, right? The United States is really fucking big. Something happening in here in California, like people on the East Coast, if this was a time before social media and the kind of information connection that we have, people on the other coast wouldn't know. If it was Europe, people in other countries wouldn't know what was going on here. Not right away. However, fast a messenger pigeon or whatever horse could go, but not in an instant. Right? And now we have that to grapple with. If you don't say something, do you not care? Are you a bad person? I donated to one place in Asheville because I had a friend there, but I didn't post anything about it. Like, it didn't affect me, and it wasn't like I don't care, but also like, yeah, I actually flew into Miami behind that fucking hurricane. Like, my first donation here when the fires kicked off was to the Pasadena Humane Society. Y'all know, like, pets and animals, that's where my money's going. I donate to LYFF, LYFF. That's, you see Rupert in the background there. That's where I got him from. Love Your Feral Felines. And I donate to them probably every other month. Right? We live in a time where you get to pick and choose who you help, which may mean that you ignore the homeless man in your neighborhood and send money to Australia to help out the burning koalas. That's me, right? I'm going to say this is what I did. Like, a few years ago, Australia caught on fire, and I was like, take my money. Right? And I don't think that this is a bad thing. I honestly think that it keeps us going, and it keeps our hearts soft, and it gives us the skills to be able to help other people when needed. Right, the example I'm going to pull is from social media. Blair Money, her family, she has her house, but her family lost their house in the Altadena fire. The Eaton fire, but in Altadena. And she did a thread, and she wrote, "I do not have the energy or capacity to organize for the broader community. I'm focused on my family right now, and I'm trying not to feel guilty about it." And it's kind of like a wild statement if you take a step back and you're like, why would you feel any kind of way? But it makes sense. And I would never say, you shouldn't feel guilty, but it makes sense why she feels guilty. Right? Everyone always feels your feels, but it makes sense because what she usually feels best doing is supporting and helping the community at large and putting content out that's smarter in seconds, and a book, Smarter in Seconds. That's how she feels called to help. But right now, the situation calls for something else. And she has the skills and the resources and the capacity to show up. She can show up for her family because she has the resources. She has the house. Her house didn't burn down. Right? And she has the skills because this is what she does all the time for a living. And she can show up for her family because the rest of the time she's showing up and helping the community at large. Right? So, circling back to the live event, how do we reconcile living our lives and perhaps going after our best lives while there are people who need help? And I think the answer, which is the point, if you will, of this episode, is help who you want in whatever way you can. Just make sure that you help whoever you can in whatever way you want. And yes, I am very much including animals in that who. All right, I think that at some point, we start to look at our lives and reflect on our lives, especially if there's a big devastating event, but if there's a pause and we have a time to actually reflect on things. And, we look at our lives, and in this case, as it relates to this podcast, we look at our jobs and we ask ourselves, is this how I want to be helping people? And you may feel like maybe you're not helping people, or maybe you're evolving and you're like, I just don't want to help them in that way anymore. It doesn't do it for you. And hopefully you have the means to be able to change that, right? Being alive is fucking expensive. And I know that for some folks, work is about getting a paycheck so that they can pay the bills. And good on you. If that's your situation, good on you for providing in the way that you can. Good on you. My advice, if you're looking for any, is, and I think that demographic maybe doesn't need this advice, but if you do happen to be looking for that advice, it's help who you want in whatever way you can. Just make sure you help whoever you can in whatever way you want. And that could be like going to a friend's show or like calling your mom. Social media would have us believe that it needs to be some grand fucking gesture that spans continents and impacts thousands. And that's not at all true. It all matters. It all makes a difference. It is all important both to the recipient and to the giver. And you helping people helps you keep going, keeps your heart soft. I keep thinking back. I had that conversation with Dr. J-Pop at the beginning of the end of last year. I don't know. And she was just like, the entire world is your neighbor, right? Everybody is your neighbor. When you start thinking about it like that, it's not that you have to help everyone. If you don't, you're bad. It's that anyone who you help makes a difference. Right? There's two ways we can look at it. And I choose to look at it from the latter, that it all matters. It all makes a difference. On the other side of this is the folks who maybe feel some type of way about their work, and you do have the ability to change it. You do have the ability to help someone else, help people in a different way. Let's fucking go, y'all. Help whoever you want in whatever way you can. Just make sure you help whoever you can in whatever way you want. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm loving these really short episodes. What am I doing with the time that I'm getting back by only putting out one episode? I don't know. The time, y'all know. Work expands to fill the time allotted. Parkinson's law is real, and I don't know what I'm doing. I stayed up late working on Mafia stuff. I stayed up till 3 a.m. yesterday working until Mafia stuff. I'm a night owl through and through. I always have been. I'd love to shift my whole day that way. So that's what I've been doing, is staying up late and sleeping in so that I still get my 7 or so hours of sleep. But speaking about Mafia and working on it, quick reminder, come to the Mafia dinner next Wednesday. It's Wednesday, January 29th, 4 p.m. Pacific, 100% free. Yes, I'm going to extend the invite to join the Mafia, but you don't fucking have to. All right, I think that with each passing day, we see the value of community. And if you're looking for that community in the online space, we would love to have you come check out the family. Yes, the marketable deliverable there is that I will provide you with an education about online business. And you will absolutely learn the ins and outs of online business, obviously through our lens and our values. But given the message of this episode and what I truly, most truly care about, and how I like helping people, it is the group of people that make up the family that is the magic. And that is what I want you to come experience. And we would love to have you come hang out with us. So if you've wondered about the Mafia or you're just nosy, come hang out. Next Wednesday, January 29th, Wednesday. Again, I said it twice, 4 p.m. Pacific. They usually run about 2 hours. I'll stay on until the last question is answered. I have a curriculum that I'm going to go through. Check out the registration page. It's all there. It's very short. You head to themovementmaestro.com/mafia-dinner-reservation. We'd love to have you. All right? All right. That's all I got for you. As always, endlessly appreciative for every single one of you. Until next time, friends, Maestro out.